Scott Peterson's case has been taken up by the Los Angeles Innocence Project. The Innocence Project is a nonprofit organization that works on overturning wrongful convictions. And they recently just filed documents to re-examine the case, which was the murder of his pregnant wife, Lacey Peterson, in 2002. And that case is insane. Like, I've watched multiple documentaries on it, and in the beginning I truly felt like Scott Peterson had done it, but then after re-examining it a little bit, I think there is a possibility he didn't.
Really?
Yeah, there's some alternate explanations that I think there's a possibility.
The Innocence Project involvement makes me feel like there's a possibility, because normally the Innocence Project goes for cases that they can win, and that's why they have such a strong backing.
Yeah.
Like when the Innocence Project gets involved, if I was the prosecutor in that case, I would be like, oh no, you know?
Yeah. He's 51 years old now. He's spent a long time in prison. But it says that they are basically investigating the case to see if they can get it overturned. And they've requested certain, basically like different pieces of evidence so that they can do testing on them. They filed a discovery motion, and they also filed for a motion for DNA testing and also to seal some court records. DNA testing. It's been a while since I've looked into this case. I can't remember them ever finding DNA in the home where she went missing from, or anywhere in that area, or like her body, because she washed up. Just really sad. I've never heard about DNA being found in that case, so I don't recall it anyway.
Well, one interesting thing to remember, though, is the DNA science and research is evolving so fast right now, where they need barely anything to get a sample. So maybe we've just caught up enough to be able to find a sample. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, they would have to have found something to be able to test it. Like, way back then.
Yeah. Well,
they couldn't test it properly.
I think they save that.
Not always. They should.
And back then, maybe it was too small of a sample, but now the sample size that they need, with all the computer technology that fills in gaps and everything else, maybe this is one of those cases where they're able to go back and be like, you know what, we had a partial in this that we couldn't get before because we didn't have the technology, but now we do. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of possibilities, you know?
Yeah. But I thought that was wild. Do you know anything about the Peterson case?
I don't.
You do know that in the Watts case, that's who Nicole Kessinger was looking up, was his mistress. Because she got a book deal afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This was a very, very infamous case. And, I've heard a lot of people speak on this, and people really believe that he's guilty. And it's been many years, actually, that this has been, talked about off and on. And every time I saw it, the majority of people still felt like he was guilty. But the fact that this organization is now taking on his case to investigate it, just maybe he's not. And I think that, we should keep an open mind and wait to see what they come up with.
I agree with you. I think that science can be flawed. And with this podcast specifically, I have learned so much in such a short time that I can look back on other cases that I've once followed before, and I'm looking at them in a completely different light around every investigative science that's out there that's used, these techniques that are used in investigations, and none of them are concrete. They are all percentage based of efficacy or match or anything like that. So it's I look at it very different now.
Yeah. So, one thing that's interesting is that Scott Peterson was sentenced to death in 2005, but the Supreme Court in California overturned that in 2020, but they upheld his conviction, but still said that the judge in his trial had made mistakes that hindered his rights to an impartial jury.
Okay.
How can you uphold a conviction when you acknowledge that the judge made mistakes that made the jury bias?
I don't know. I have no idea. I can't answer that one.
Why wouldn't you
because it
give him a
doesn't
new
make sense.
trial?
I agree with you. I don't understand that. I don't understand that.
He has literally maintained his innocence this entire time.
Well,
And that's a lot of years. That's 20 years. More like 22 years at this point.
he's got the right people involved now. So if he's ever had a chance, I think it's now.
Yeah, I think it is too. The Innocence Project does really good work, and I have a lot of respect for them, and I don't know if I'll go as far as to say trust, but I have faith that they will really dig into it and figure out what's going on here, and if his case deserves a truly another look. Like if they're looking into it at all, then they see something here. If they decide to really go forward with fighting his conviction and trying to get it overturned, then they got something good, because I haven't seen a single case overturned by this organization that they didn't uncover some wild stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So I want to know what you guys think. What's your opinion? Do you think Scott Peterson did it? Did you ever have a doubt in your mind that maybe he's innocent? I know that a documentary that came out exploring that side of things a while back, I can't even remember what it was called, really made me open my mind to it, but I'm still not 100% sure. Leave your opinions in the comments.